Hey guys, welcome back to Jessin Reads Romance. I'm Jessin, and today I'm here with the first weekly wrap-up of September. I'm so excited about the majority of the books that I'm about to talk about because it's been a great reading week, and I actually kind of got an early start in September because I closed off August a couple days early since we had hurricane come towards Louisiana. We weren't sure if it was going to hit us or if it was going to move. It ended up by moving. But I wanted to make sure that I had videos uploaded already because power and all that jazz. So everything turned out by being fine, and I really didn't get that much reading done. I think I might have read 2 books, and I closed out 3 days before September, so yeah, or maybe just 2. But now it's time to talk about some of my favorite books that I've discovered for the first week of September. It's so exciting to kick off a month like this because I have a lot of 5 stars. Okay, to kick it all off, I saw on Instagram both Steph from Virgo Reader and Nalika from Libra Lady post that they were reading this male psychopath romance. The first book is called Unhinged by Onley James, and I was like, what is this? I'm kind of really intrigued. And they were like, guys, this is so good and it's only 30%. It's one of those instances where when you keep seeing a book crop up and crop up and crop up again, it's like, okay, I have to really check it out. But it only really took 2 people for me to pick it up because I just felt like I was in the mood for that type of thing. Currently, I'm also in the middle of a themed reading vlog that's sort of secret. I normally don't announce what type of theme vlogs that I'm going to do. So I also read those books. I'm not going to be wrapping those up. But I was feeling a little stagnant while I was reading for that vlog, and this is what I decided to go with, and it was the best decision ever. I just want to let you know. This is a new to me author. I didn't know what to expect, but let me tell you that prologue hooked me, okay? The premise of Unhinged is that there's this doctor named Thomas, and he is kind of like fascinated with child psychology, especially those who come from broken households and who were abused and exhibit psychopathic tendencies. So what he's doing is looking for these boys who are exhibiting these psychopathic tendencies, and nobody will really miss them. And the prologue is him actually going to interview this boy named Adam. They don't really know his real name. They're just kind of calling him Adam because they discovered him in such dire circumstances. He basically wants to adopt these boys and Dexter them. If you watch Dexter, the TV show, Dexter is a psychopath, and his father recognizes, who is a cop, recognizes these tendencies and teaches him to hone them and only go after the bad guys. And so that's what Dr. Thomas is actually doing. He's like, you really can't correct their behaviors, but you can focus it. So this is his experiment, adopting these boys, giving them the tools that they need, and sending them after people like the ones who actually abuse them. So I was like, I'm all the way on board by now, all the way on board. And then it picks up even more with chapter 1 with Adam, all grown up. He is a model, and he is also a serial killer now because he's been killing since he was 16. He gets held up at gunpoint by this guy named Noah, and Noah claims that Adam has killed his father, and he's been searching for him. And he even outlines how I discovered who you were. This was one of Adam's first kills, I think, maybe the first or one of the first. And Adam is immediately fascinated by Noah, remembering the oddity when he killed this man who they had done their research, and he was a bad man. He was doing very bad things, and they had tons of proof. And Adam even offers him, do you want to know the real truth about your dad? There's no going back. You can walk away and drop the gun and forget this ever happened, or I can show you proof, or you can shoot me. And he's not really afraid of being shot at all. So Noah decides to take the phone and see the evidence that Adam's providing, and he sees the depravity that his father was into. But there was some weird circumstances when Adam went kill Noah's father. There was no record of a child being there, and so Adam starts getting obsessed with Noah. And where did he come from? Why was there no record of him? Because there shouldn't have been a witness, and that's why Adam kind of was a little reckless for that kill. So he kind of starts stalking Noah. And Noah's in a bad place. He really hasn't had a stable life at all. He's struggling. He drinks sometimes. He does drugs. And Adam's kind of watching over him. So while he's getting high with his friends, while he's drinking, he's in this alleyway, and Adam approaches him. And I love how these romances start off because it's pretty fast and furious. On the psychopath's part, on Adam's part, one of our heroes, he's just obsessed with this person who makes him feel kind of different things. He's fascinated by the psyche of Noah, and he wants to explore it, and he's very attracted to Noah. And so it's kind of full throttle, but in the best way. It's insta-love, but done right is all I can say. It just works with the story because it's so bombastic and so pedal to the metal right from the beginning that it's seamlessly beautiful. And he's so honest with Noah. He tells him, I kill people like your dad. And then Noah starts getting like some flashbacks that he was also a victim too. And Adam feels extremely protective over Noah. He wants to help him, and once Noah starts getting flashbacks that it wasn't only his dad, it was other men, they were like, this is a whole ring and we need to look into this. And Adam definitely wants to have closure for Noah, find out who had hurt Noah when he was just a little boy. And he wants to rope in his family into doing this. His family are just kind of like, this is your new toy. Like, what? No, he can't be brought into the fold. I love the relationship between all of the brothers. They're all adopted. All their names start with A. And the banter is so great between them. I love it so much. That's the whole purpose of this group. That's the whole purpose of why Thomas got this group together, is to rid the world of these people who were flying under the radar of our justice system. So it's just amazing. I gave this book 5 stars, and immediately after I read Unhinged, the next day, the second book came out, Psycho. So it was all fun because everyone was picking it up. Crystal picked it up, Tiffany picked it up, Jen picked it up, and we were all like reading it at the same time, and I flew through Unhinged and it was amazing. So as soon as Psycho came out, everyone was reading it. It was just the most fun experience ever. So Psycho is about August and Lucas, and August is actually on the autism spectrum as well. He was a genius. By the time that he was 2, when you get the scene when Thomas is interviewing this little boy, August, his mother was schizophrenic, thought that he was a changeling, and attempted to hurt him. He obviously survived, and he doesn't even blame her. And apparently he was talking like full-on sentences and reading by the age of 2. And so this is why it kind of triggered psychosis. She wasn't taking her meds at this time. And he doesn't even blame her for it. So Thomas knows that he has a very interesting child on his hands because he understands so much. August is still pretty young, and he's like a tenured professor for quantum physics. I think that he has maybe 2 doctorates, masters. He speaks like several languages. He is a genius. And I love the fact that he's just like this cute little buttoned up professor that's teaching quantum physics at this university. He plays his outward role really well, and secretly he loves the thrill of the kill. The love interest is a former FBI agent. He's recently been disgraced, and this book has a touch of paranormal element to it because Lucas is he can actually touch objects and see thoughts and feelings and like the past and stuff like that. And he's used that ability. His assignment was a desk job, but sometimes he would go on scene, which was unusual. But when Lucas was on the cases got solved, and nobody really questioned it. They just kind of like joked about it. And sometime recently in the past year, he discovered that one of his coworkers in the FBI is actually a secret serial killer. And he went to his superiors to tell them, and they were like, you're crazy, because he offloaded saying, I'm psychic, I touched him, and I like saw that he was the one who was kidnapping these women, raping and torturing them and killing them. And so his superiors threw him in psych. They evaluated him for a long time, and he has not been having a good time at all. They offered for him to teach at Quantico, and he refused, and so now he's at the university that August is teaching at, and it's an instant connection between them because he's observing Lucas asking his coworker, like, who is this? And there's like, oh, he's a new professor. He's going to be teaching criminal psychology, and August is immediately fixated on him. See, the obsession starts with all of our psychopath heroes with the love interests, and I love the way that it plays out. He watches Lucas just kind of like pass him, go into the building, but later on that day, they run into each other. Lucas actually touches August, and he gasps, and he pushes away, and he's like, get away from me. And August, who is a very rational person, heard the rumors from his coworker that Lucas was a little loopy and loony and a little psychic. He obviously doesn't believe in that type of stuff. He believes in science and hard proof. But he cannot ignore the way that Lucas just reacted to him. The reaction was too genuine. He has to know that I kill people. So August literally confronts him while Lucas is in the office trying to calm down about the images that he was seeing of August torturing people. August walks in and basically is just kind of like, I know that you know. It's so great. Onley James does some very unexpected things with the way that the plot progresses and the relationship progresses, and it's always so perfect for the story and for the characters. And what's so beautiful about August and Lucas's relationship is that August believes Lucas. He's like, well, I know that you can do what you say that you can do because you know about me. And this is a very safe space for Lucas to be, despite him being a serial killer, August being a serial killer. It's somebody who believes in him, who doesn't think that Lucas is crazy, who Lucas can like lean on And now he can tell him about like what happened in the FBI and that there is a man who is a serial killer. And so of course August is on board with this type of thing, especially since that FBI agent is now kind of stalking Lucas and leaving him little notes. He's playing with him like, I can see you, can't wait to see you again. He is playing with him because that FBI agent knows that Lucas is psychic too. And August gets so protective when that FBI agent starts messing with him. It is amazing. These relationships are so endearing. And I told Crystal, and she mentioned it in her Instagram story the other day, I called these heartwarming serial killer romances because even though that there's violence, obviously, there's such a lighthearted quality in both Unhinged and Psycho, even though it's dark, because we're exploring very heavy topics like child trafficking, abuse, murder, torture, all of that jazz, and witnessing our characters actually doing it. The moments where the love interests are together are so magnetic and so freaking sweet. That's the only way that I can describe it. The relationships are so sweet. I love the Mulvaney brothers and how protective they are for their love interests. It's just like, it gives me all the feels. So of course, Psycho was 5 stars. And I cannot wait for the next one. I believe it's going to be Atticus, which he's the one who's like kind of like the snobby brother. He wears all kind of like designer stuff. I'm excited to see what type of quirks he's going to bring into the mix. Next, I reread The Taming of the Highlander by Elisa Braden because we recorded this for the podcast. This is the second book in her Midnight in Scotland series. I discovered her earlier this year during the Historical Romance Readathon. I read the first book in the series, The Making of the Highlander, which was the original book that I put on the podcast. Once this one came out, it has so many tropes that I love that I decided to switch it out. So Juliet actually started off with book 2, and it reads very well as a standalone by itself, and then she went back to book 1. Elisa Braden is an independently published historical romance writer. I'm now in love with her. I have gone to her backlist and I am slowly going through her Rescued from Ruin series. The next book I have to read is book 6, and she's phenomenal. She is one of my new favorite historical romance writers, like ever. Like, she's up there in the top 5. I'm obsessed with her. I love this book. It's kind of Beauty and the Beast retelling. Broderick is a scarred hero. He was framed for murder, falsely accused, imprisoned for close to 6 months, brutally beaten, scarred, his eye is missing, he walks with a little bit of a limp, and he's out for revenge against the person who framed him. Kate, the heroine, is such an interesting character. At first, the first time that I read this, I really wasn't vibing with Kate because she seemed like such a dreamer, a heroine with her head in the clouds. She's visiting Scotland since her brother married a Scottish woman. She does not want to return to England because she doesn't want to participate in the season anymore. She wants to stay in Scotland, and she decides that she doesn't want to get married because all of her siblings have this mind sickness once they get married. They're all mooning over their spouses and busy with their kids that they really don't deal with a lot of the interests that they had before that they were married. And she's like, well, I don't want that to happen to me. I'm gonna need a way to earn money by myself if I'm not gonna get married. So like, why don't I be a playwright? So she's just deciding this right now that she wants to be a playwright. But she's a little bit dramatic. She loves the theater. She loves drama. And so she's like, yes, I'm going to write a story about Sir Wallace and a giant wolf in Scotland. And they keep telling her, like, there's no wolves in Scotland. And she's like, yes, but if there were, how would you go about killing this? So she's just daydreaming, and she's like, maybe it won't be a play. Maybe it'll be a novel. She decides to go for a walk. She gets lost, and the storm comes raging through. She stumbles upon this man who is brutally beating another man. And the way that she's describing Broderick is like over 7 feet. Someone who is like astronomically tall, huge, scary looking with his scars and his eye patch while the lightning is flashing, because that's all the light that she has right now, seeing him brutally beat a man. And so that's her first impression of the hero. Later she comes to find out that this is her new sister-in-law's stepbrother. And her brother tells her, you need to forget about that. Broderick has reason for wanting to beat that man. You just need to forget what you saw. But this constable is now on to Kate and wants to know if she has any knowledge of Broderick's whereabouts or the man named Lockhart that she witnessed him beating. She's a terrible liar. And John, her brother, is concerned for her because the constable won't leave her alone. So they have a meeting with Broderick and Kate. At first, Kate's very scared to meet Broderick. She's chanting in her head, screw your courage to the sticking place, because she loves Shakespeare. She's looking at her toes. She's actually saying it out loud. And so Broderick's like, I lass, screw that courage to the sticking place. Like, Are you okay? Can you stop quoting Shakespeare at me? And she is so startled that he would like recognize Shakespeare that she looks up at him. And they start like debating each other, and the banter starts being so amazing. That's when I realized it's like, oh, Kate has lots of layers and they just need to be uncovered. She's not just this flighty girl with her head in the clouds. She can be a match for Broderick, this very surly, scarred hero. And this becomes kind of a marriage of convenience blackmail situation. And the pining, the mutual pining, the amount of times that I laughed during this book, it's just amazing. I've already talked about this book, and this was supposed to be very brief, but I've gone on and on and on about this book already, so that was a 5-star book, obviously. Next, I picked up The Dawn by Serena Ackroyd. This is a duet, The Dawn and then The Lady, which came out like a week later. I picked up The Dawn like a couple days before The Lady released. If you've read her 5 Points Mob series, you will see these characters. Luciu, I always mispronounce the hero's name because he's Sicilian and they have slightly different pronunciations from Italian. And Jennifer meet in Filthy Hot, and so we actually get to see in Filthy Hot their first meeting. The way that The Dawn starts is actually, I didn't really love the way that The Dawn started. The prologue starts with something more in the present day, and we see that Jennifer kind of despises Luciu, and we don't really know why. And then we go back even before they meet, and then go over the night that they actually met, what were the events, what happened, and stuff like that. And already having like a timeline in mind for myself about what happened in Filthy Hot, I just felt a little bit confused. Maybe it wasn't as confusing for people who just picked up this one. For me, it was a little bit confusing. But what I loved about The Dawn is that Luciu sees Jennifer and he immediately recognizes her as this queen who has not been treated well in her life, who is kind of scrabbling to find her place in the world. She knows that she wants the best. She even refers to herself, which I guess now we can talk about Jennifer's character. This is a complicated situation for me to talk about because I both like Jennifer's character and dislike Jennifer's character at the same time. But I'll get into the reasons of why I dislike her character a little bit later. Jennifer is bold and brash. She knows that she's beautiful. She sometimes uses her body to get what she wants, and she refers to herself in her head. She's like, yeah, I know, I'm a gold digger. Like, I want to be with a rich man. She is a CPA. She does work. She does have money, but I mean, they're living in New York, and she wants to live the high life. She wants the expensive designer things, and she needs a man to make that happen. And so she sees Luciu, and she's like, yeah, my last boyfriend was a dick. He even sued me after I keyed his car, finding out that he was cheating on me for like $70,000. And she's being swept away by all this luxury as he takes her to his club and stuff like that. So I kind of really like the fact that Jennifer acknowledges that she likes nice things and she wants a rich man. I'm like, that's refreshing. I don't know. It was just refreshing. You don't often read about characters who are that like cutthroat about what they want. And they know that, yes, I do date men because they are rich. But of course, she's very attracted to Luciu. He's treating her like a queen, but she never really expects to fall in love, so she's a little bit like prickly eventually. And I think that her stubbornness and her prickliness are what I really disliked about her. And it had a lot to do with the fact that this is a duet. Personal opinion, when looking at The Dawn and The Lady, I don't think that this should have been a duet. I think that there was very little character development for her in The Dawn. And Luciu is almost constant from the beginning. He sees Jen and he wants her almost immediately for like his wife. Like he cannot see her any other way besides she is royalty, I'm seeking a queen, and she is perfect for me. And he has to convince her basically that she is worthy of this position, that he really wants her. Of course, there's a minor conflict in The Dawn that kind of puts Jen off, so I will talk about spoilers, but before I do that, it's just, I felt like this could have been one book. We could have trimmed down a lot of the scenes that I was skimming in The Dawn, because there were a lot of boring, repetitive scenes where Luciu was convincing her, like, I want you, I'll take care of you, and she was pushing him away because she thought that he was a liar. And there's just so much of that, and I didn't like it. So I'm going to briefly talk about the spoiler in The Dawn, the conflict that is happening in The Dawn, before I move on to The Lady, because I do have different ratings for these books. I rated The Dawn 3.5 stars. In The Dawn, when he takes her to his club, she is by herself. He has to deal with something. She goes to the bathroom and is approached by this woman, not letting her close the door, and she busts in there and says, I am the owner of this club, and Jen's confused, saying, no, I just left him. And this woman, this beautiful, voluptuous woman says, that is my husband. I am married to him. So Jen's like, holy shit, he's a married man. He lied to me. And she runs out of the club. Of course, Luciu, who, like I said, is very fixated on Jen, tracks her down again. They meet again. They run into each other. At first, she's like, you're a liar. And he's like, how did I lie? When did I lie? And then when she mentions, you're married, and he says, no, I'm not, she's like, haha, no, whatever, I saw your wife. Why would she lie about that? I almost feel like there just wasn't enough exploration about this random woman claiming to be Luciu's wife. He wasn't really concerned with like who the hell approached Jen and put a kink in his plans to court this woman, because she's obviously resisting and claiming that he's a liar. Towards the end of the Dawn, there's a revelation that apparently Luciu did ask his brother to look at security footage, and there was nothing there. It only showed that Jen walked in and out the bathroom. But we don't find that out until much later in the book. So for me, I was just like, why aren't we following this? Why aren't we following this? And the reason why is because once Luciu realizes who this woman is, it felt like a weird reveal that didn't need to happen. Like, I felt like that situation was a little too complicated, and it kind of ties into the lady. So in case you've only read the Dawn, I don't want to like spoil stuff for the lady. I just felt like it was too like, aha, I gotcha, you didn't see that coming. I'm like, yeah, I kind of suspected it a little bit, but I was like, I didn't know why. Like, what was the intentions behind this woman doing this? So I wasn't a fan of that conflict at all. And that was the main conflict in book 1. Luciu trying to convince Jen that he really does want her thinking that he's a liar until he finally like wears her down. And then it ends on the cliffhanger of Luciu being arrested, and we don't know what for. Jen thinks it's because of the guy that she recently killed in her apartment that assaulted her. So that's where the cliffhanger is, and it wasn't really much of a cliffhanger. So that's it for the Dawn. Then I picked up the lady, and since the Dawn ended on a cliffhanger, I feel like the plot was a lot faster paced and a lot more interesting, because we want to know the reason why the events of like the cliffhanger happened. I'm trying to be vague so that I'm not in spoiler territory, but I was very interested in what was playing out, what was going on. There was also some other personal drama with Jen and her friend Aoife that was happening at the same time. And Aoife is the heroine of Filthy, the first book in the 5 Points Mob series. So I was super invested in the events that was happening at the beginning of The Lady. Immediately captured my attention a lot more than what was happening in the Dawn. So of course I liked The Lady better. I did give this a higher rating. It was a 4-star book for me. Not quite a 5-star, because when I look at them as a whole, it's not my favorite Serena Ackroyd book, but for sure I really enjoyed a lot of the things that were happening. There's also this kind of side plot that now that Luciu is the Don in New York, he's Sicilian and he's taken over from the previous Italian mafia, the Fieris or whatever, and this has been like 20 years in the making. Sicilians used to be in charge, they were run out by the Italians, and so now he's back. But there's also these family jewels, they're all rubies, they're like rings, bracelet, a tiara, and he's trying to track them down because it's a symbol of his family's power, and like he wants those representations. So he's tracking them down, owing favors to people. He would rather pay for them, but they always are like, no, I want you to owe me a favor. And that was really fun as well. There's a really hot scene with the tiara and Jen, and I really loved it. It was really great. And I think that Jen has, which her real name is actually extremely Irish, he calls her Fee. And I'm not even going to try to pronounce her full name, her full Irish name. But her confidence and her character development was so good in this book. Like, I loved it a lot. I loved seeing her step into that. I'm with this badass dude and I'm being brought into this mafia world that I really kind of resisted for so long. And now that she wants Luciu, her confidence has grown so much and I enjoyed her character a lot more. So yes, as a whole, this series is not my favorite. This duet, the Oath duet, is not my favorite story and couple that Serena Ackroyd has written. I would have liked it a lot more. I think Luciu is 1000% worth the read. He is such a possessive, caring, funny, will do anything for his woman hero, and that's what I love to read about for Serena Ackroyd's Mafia series. And then finally, another new release I was really looking forward to, 10 Queen by Devney Perry. This is the final book in her motorcycle romance series, and I knew at the end of the last book, Fallen Jester, I think was the last book, I knew I was going to be in for a treat for 10 Queen, because they teased what was going to be the dynamic between the couple in 10 Queen at the end of Fallen Jester. So if you haven't read this series before, this motorcycle club has disbanded. In the first book, they're disbanded motorcycle club. They're not functioning anymore. They used to be like 1%ers doing illegal stuff, but a lot of deaths started happening with family members, rival clubs coming in and targeting their loved ones, so they decided to disband. But drama starts happening in book 1 and it kind of pulls them back into the mix. And another rival group, I think they're called the Arrowhead Warriors, they have been been making trouble for our group, and this is spoilers for like the previous book in the series, but recently the president and a lot of like higher ups, like upwards of 50 people from the Arrowhead Warriors got arrested by the FBI and they're in jail. So the president, Tucker, has this daughter, and at the end of Fallen Jester, he's basically recruiting his daughter to get vengeance on our people. We find out at the beginning of this book that the heroine Nova, which is her secret name, and her siblings, who also have their secret names, have been kept hidden. Tucker actually didn't live with them, he only visited them to keep like their identity a secret. And you can tell from the very first, when you're in the point of view of young Nova, that she idolizes her father and she wants his love and attention. She's actually a little bit jealous because she has a little brother named TJ, and before her father leaves, he like whispers in TJ's ear and she wants to know what he's whispering. She wants to be a part of that club dynamic. And in present day, now that her father is in jail, she wants to do anything that she can to get back at our group because they have ruined her life. Her father is now in jail. And also, one of the members in years past actually killed her brother. Her brother died when he was 18. So she has a lot of reasons to want revenge against our group, our motorcycle group. And she decides that she's going to go basically undercover and seduce one of the members named Emmett, hopefully find some dirt on the MC and get them thrown in jail as well. I love this heroine so much. She's so resourceful. And I love the way that the relationship starts with Emmett because she goes to the bar, she knows her target, she has this air of aloofness about her which attracts Emmett immediately, like she knows her target, okay? And he's known for his one-night stands. She plans on being one of those and catering exactly to what he wants, a woman who does not want attachment. So when they sleep together and they have amazing chemistry and banter, Emmett takes her to his actual house, which he doesn't really do, but there's these sparks that are flying between them. She is the one that immediately brings up, like, I'm not looking for anything serious. We don't even have to know each other's names. Like, no names. We won't call each other anything. I just want to get down and dirty. Let's see what you got. And Emmett is like, is this the perfect woman? This is great. And they start up this very casual relationship that eventually develops into something a lot more emotional on both parts. So this is a heroine who is lying to the hero about her identity. She is the daughter of his arch rival. This man has done so much to his club, to his family, personally, on a personal level, and he doesn't even know it. And he has invited this woman into his house. So this book was amazing. 5 freaking stars. How is that for a first week of September? I'm super pumped about it. Like, it's great. This feeling is great whenever you hit a bunch of books in a row that are just like super phenomenal. I love it. So yeah, that's it. That is all I have for the first week of September besides my secret theme vlog that I'm doing, which will probably be included on the next weekly wrap up. I'll talk about that. But if you like this video, give it a big thumbs up. And if you're not already subscribed to my channel, make sure you subscribe to get notified of any future videos that I do. Thank you so much for watching. And remember, life's better with little HEA. Bye guys.